What is going on, everybody? What is going on? The Catch fam. Hope you guys are doing phenomenal tonight, man. Hope you guys have all had a great Thursday. I hope you guys are ready for another live 2023 fantasy football mock draft with you guys, with Catch fam. Super excited to get this thing going tonight with you guys. Super excited to hop into another mock with you guys. So make sure you guys hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe button. Of course, if you guys are new to the channel, hop in the live chat. Let me know what's popping. Let me know how you guys are doing. We've got a couple NFL news stories to go over today. But nonetheless, we're going to hop right into this mock draft. We're not going to waste any time tonight. So the draft is officially underway. Let's get into it, man. So 1.2 for me again. Gosh, that's what I had last night. I'm just going to go C-Mac here. I mean, last night I went JJ. So I just, at the moment, C-Mac, JJ, like, I still like Eckler in the top 3, top 4. Chaser or Kelsey right in there as well. But at 1.2, I'm going to go Kelsey or JJ at the moment. And I don't mind Eckler there. I know some of you guys are a little bit more hesitant around Eckler. I don't mind him right there. But 1.2 for me, 2 nights in a row, is what it is. So thank you guys so much for coming out tonight, man. Let's have some fun. Let's talk some fantasy football. You guys know what it is. So Ezekiel Elliott, my guy, apparently, according to sources, right, has narrowed down his options about where he will play this coming season. The Eagles, Jets, and Bengals. An interesting group of teams in my decision. Zeke going to the squad, he's not going to be the RB1. He's not going to be getting a bulk of the carries. But if you look at what Zeke did last season, you guys have heard me talk about this a lot. Still very fantasy relevant at the end of the day. Obviously, a lot of tread off of those tires, but Zeke can definitely contribute to the right team. So when we're looking at these options, it's just a weird list of teams for me, because he goes to the Jets. Like, you got Breece Hall there, obviously. I mean, coming off an injury, but Hall's going to be fine, right? Michael Carter's still there. And I believe they just re-signed Ty Johnson as well. Then I believe Zonovan Knight is still floating around too. So at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of options at the position already for the Jets, right? And then we move to the Eagles, a team within the same division, the NFC East. Like, I feel like the Eagles are pretty much set. Like, I feel like they can go out and draft a young running back, and that kind of fits their offense a little bit better at the end of the day. They got Kenneth Gainwell. They obviously just went out and got Penny as well, and then Boston Scott's still there. And I really won't be surprised if they draft a running back. So Zeke would be interesting on the Eagles, to say the least, but I just don't feel like it's either the Eagles or Jets are kind of the right landing spots for Zeke. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, we just talked about Zeke not being a running back who's going to receive RB1 volume, right? So both of those scenarios make some sense for him to really contribute in the best way. But at the end of the day, when I'm looking at the Bengals, I feel like it makes a little bit more sense if and only Joe Mixon truly gets cut from that squad. So I do feel like out of this apparent list of the Eagles, Jets, and Bengals, the Bengals make some sense, obviously still being a contending team. Not that the Eagles aren't, not that the Jets aren't, a team that can contend this coming season, right? But when we look at the Bengals, I do feel like that team makes the most sense at the moment, with the assumption that Joe Mixon is no longer going to be on that team. But we haven't really heard anything else from that situation in quite a few weeks. So interesting, to say the least. But apparently those are the 3 teams that Ezekiel Elliott will potentially be playing for this coming season. But hey, it's the offseason. There's a lot of reports in the offseason. Could be a bunch of bogus, could have some merit. And it could be what's in Ezekiel Elliott's mind at this point in time. And a week from now, that could change. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, I am definitely rooting for Zeke. And I would love to see him be in an offense that fits him right and is able to utilize his skill set at this point in his career. So that's really it from today in terms of like news that's going to be somewhat fantasy relevant. We've got a lot of stuff going on with Lamar Jackson. It's kind of like crazy to even begin breaking down. But let me know in the chat in terms of, you know, whatever you guys saw in terms of the Lamar Jackson Ravens saga, let me know what you guys think. It's just a lot to break down, so whatever you guys think is relevant, we can go over as well. So, all right, I'm going to hop right into the live chat, see what's going on, guys. Thank you guys so much for spending part of your night here on the channel. Make sure you guys smash that like for me, and let's do it, man. Walito, what's going on? Thank you so much for the $5 donation. I'm doing great. Yeah, that's right, man. Back at it. How are you doing, man? Appreciate the super chat so much, my dude. Means a lot. But yeah, I'm doing great. It's late, but we're here. We're streaming. We're not making any excuses, so I'm excited to be here, man. Cats is in the house. Hello, hello. Klondike, what's up, my dude? Finally made it into a draft. Let's go, let's go. Appreciate you rolling in. Cats, you're trolling him at 1.12 again. Yeah, we gotta message Sleeper, man. Tell him to switch it up a bit. Albert, where would you like to see Zeke sign? I mean, like I said, I would like to just see him go to a team where his skill set is utilized correctly. You know, like where he can still, you know, contribute is really all I care about at the end of the day. But I do think that, like, if I had to choose between those three teams, like I said, I do like the Bengals. I think they are very, very intriguing, to say the least. All right, where do I want to go here? I think I might get a little crazy. Let's take Breece Hall off the board, and let's see what happens here before we move into the third. Devonta Smith is a nice pick. Kenneth Walker is a nice pick. Those are the other two players I was staring at. Both great picks on top of JJ as well. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful selections there. So Hall and McCaffrey's fun. I was actually kind of hoping Walker might fall out, but I wasn't very confident. So let's get a little crazy. Let's go triple running back to start tonight's mock. Let's do it. Let's do it. So, yeah, let me know in the chat, though. Seco Elliott, we're running the poll. Looks like most of you guys are saying Bengals. A lot of you guys are saying another team other than those three teams. And no one's saying the Eagles so far. So, and I do agree. I just don't like that landing spot for Zeke. But, yeah, let me know in the chat. Where'd you guys like to see Zeke go? And like I said, I still think Zeke can be productive on the right team, right? You know, you obviously have to scale things back, but I definitely think Zeke can hold a lot of merit on the right team, right? Thomas is in the house. What's going on? What up? What up? How you doing, my guy? Appreciate you being here tonight, man. Chase in the house. What's good, my guy? How you doing, bro? Derek says people taking Bijan too high. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, you know, kind of how he's viewed in like redraft formats after he's drafted. I could agree. Like, it depends on what team he goes to and everything. But I think at the end of the day, when it comes to the RB1 for your respective fantasy roster, like tonight's a really interesting draft. You see C-Mac and Eckler gone, then JT, Henry, Bijan, Barkley, ETN, Jacobs, Hall, Walker, Pollard. Like, any of those running backs, truthfully, could be taken in the first round. You know, when it comes to your RB1 for your fantasy squad, like I always encourage you guys, go out and get the player that you want. You know, whoever you want to lead the running back group for your team, go out and get them. Like, don't get me wrong, there's, you know, if you're taking someone way above their ADP and it just doesn't make sense, that's one thing. But when it really comes to that top tier, like, you're going to see people go out in that first round and just move with their conviction, which is okay. And you very rarely have a lot of running backs repeat in the top 5 in consecutive seasons. So, I mean, Eckler and C-Mac and that's the other thing, is like you have so many running backs who deal with injuries that ranking-wise, they might not make it back to the top 5. But we'll see what happens, man. Bijan, the right fit, I think holds as much upside as anyone. I mean, we're a couple years removed from like a true rookie running back going in the first round of fantasy outside of Najee Harris, right? But we're a couple years removed from, you know, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, you know, players like that going in the first round of fantasy. Ezekiel Elliott as well. Lenny Fournette, another guy that comes to mind. So, and I'm probably missing one or two, but, you know, in the last, like, I feel like 2 or 3 years outside of Najee, we haven't really had a rookie running back go in the first round. But I do think that Bijan in a lot of fantasy leagues, even in redraft formats, is going to go in the first round this year. Just a lot of upside, right? So we'll see what happens. All right, let's see. Okay, Albert brings up an interesting point as well. Did you see the list of teams that are interested in trading for Hopkins? Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Raiders, Falcons. Yeah. So I've heard the Chiefs are still somewhat in there as well. But it's coming down to draft capital, obviously, and then the financial side of things as well. So when I'm looking at that list, I like the Bills. I don't really like D-Hop to any of those other teams, except maybe the Raiders. Like, at the end of the day, right? Like, you have Adams on one side and Hopkins on the other side. Like, that would be pretty entertaining to watch, right? Like, do I think that's a good landing spot for D-Hop to potentially win a ring at the end of his career? Not necessarily. No offense to any Raiders fans out there. It's a very, very, very tough division at the moment, right? But would it be fun to watch him on the team? 100%. 100%. I'm going to go Burrow here. I'm getting a little weird tonight. There you guys go, sniping Christian Kirk for me again. My receivers, second night in a row. My receivers are going to be questionable, to say the least. Ridley's a good pick here, man. I mean, I got Godwin. I mean, there's a couple names here. I'll go Lockett. I'm going to have to start hammering out receivers. I think I've done triple running back in a while. But Emil went triple running back as well, so it makes me feel good. All right. But yeah, so let me know in the chat as well. In terms of DeAndre Hopkins, those are the parent teams, according to sources at the moment. Bills, Patriots, Ravens, Raiders, Falcons. Where would you guys like to see D-Hop end up? You know, I don't want to see, you know, whether it's Odell Beckham, DeAndre Hopkins, whoever, I don't want to see them go to the Patriots. Like, they already took Juju, and, like, I mean, Juju is not in that same caliber at all, but I just don't think it's a good landing spot for Juju from a fantasy perspective. I don't think it's a good landing spot for any of those receivers, right? So I don't like that at all. And the Ravens, honestly, I feel the same way. Even if Lamar Jackson is back and everything, I don't know. I just feel like the Ravens and the Patriots, like two teams I think of in free agency where wide receivers specifically go to kind of die, unfortunately. So, once again, no offense to any Patriots Ravens fans out there, but it just hasn't been great the last couple of years for both those teams in terms of free agent wide receivers. So, we'll see. Falcons, I don't like either. You know, just none of those sound intriguing to me, but we'll see. I do think Hopkins can contribute anywhere. I mean, he was contributing with backup quarterbacks on the Cardinals this past season, you know. I mean, D-Hop is an amazing football player, so I'm not too concerned about that. You know, part of it, I don't know, man. When you have these, like, stud veteran players at the end of their career, I mean, I think D-Hop can play for a couple years, but you know what I mean, right? I just hate seeing them go to a bad team, you know what I mean? All right, let's see here. Cats, Lions sleeper destination for D-Hop. And that's the thing, right? You know, we're getting reports, right? Zeke to these 3 teams. DeAndre Hopkins to these 5 teams. Odell Beckham to these 2 or 3 teams. I feel like I've heard Odell Beckham to every team in the league at this point. But it's speculation. I mean, there might be some merit to some of these reports. But it's the off season, man. I mean, you go back to last year, right? How many people were 100% positive that Aaron Rodgers was leaving the Packers? Like, that's all we heard about all offseason, right? Like, I think there is probably some truth to some of these things that come out in terms of, like, you know, these are things that might currently are being said, but does that mean it's going to happen? Not necessarily. So it's always interesting, and I don't know. We'll see what happens. The Lions would be very interesting for D-Hop. They've lost a little bit of depth at receiver this offseason, so D-Hop next to Amon-Ra would be really interesting. Chase, I was crushing it until I lost Brees in one league, couldn't recover. You know, there were a lot of people in that scenario last year, right? Paul, Zeke is mid, and that's putting it nicely. Yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of his career, But when we break it down from a fantasy perspective, what he did last season was still not bad, you know. I mean, Pollard gave you the upside, you know. Don't get me wrong from on that end, but when you look at what Zeke did, right? 1, 2, 3, 5 games where he gave you single digits, including one game where he gave you 9.7 points in full PPR, and he missed 3 games. So missing 3 games wasn't great. But outside of that, double digits in every game he played in, gave you double digits every game between 13 and 18 points every game, weeks 11 through weeks 16. So not a ton of upside, right? The ceiling there is 18.1 points against the Eagles. But at the end of the day, like it wasn't that bad. It's just you saw the tread on the tires, and you saw what Tony Pollard was able to do. And that, you know, obviously was the end of things that you wanted, right? With Pollard finishing as your RB8 and giving you much higher ceilings and just looking all around far, far more explosive. So I get it, but I'm still going to argue statistically from a fantasy perspective that Zeke really wasn't that bad last season. So, but at the end of the day, right, when you look at ADP going in the season, Tony Pollard 100% was the better selection last year. So I think I might get weird with this draft. I think I might just get weird. I don't know if I can get weird, but I kind of want to. Let's do it. There's a lot of good running backs on the board right now. Talk about a little bit of injury scares here. C-Mac, Hall, Pollard, Swift. We're getting crazy tonight. Let's do it. There's like, I mean, Cam Akers, AJ Dillon, Pacheco. Like, there's some good running backs here, but ultimately, I just got to take another receiver here. So hopefully Rodgers is going to the Jets, and Allen Lazard can do something similar to what he did the beginning of last season. Because, well, he had some good games at the end of the year too, but I'm going to need some help at receiver on this team. This is it's almost like a standard or half PPR build right now. So we'll see what happens here. But Paul, Jameson Williams is a league winner this year. You heard it here first. Yeah, I think a lot of people have pretty high conviction, both in redraft, but especially in Dynasty as well, and J-Mo coming into this season. So I hope so, man. I mean, it was like the first week he was back healthy. That was like one of my calls was like, do not start him. Like we just don't know. He's going to be slowly rolled into this offense. And I wasn't particularly wrong. He just had 2 targets in week 14 against Minnesota, but he had that one catch for a 41-yard touchdown. And everyone was like, holy crap. And I actually still caution people to stay cautious, and he scored 4 more fantasy points on the season. So, I mean, he did actually, there's one game, it was the last game of the year, Packers-Lions, when he had another big play that got wiped out by a penalty. That's right. But we'll see, right? I still think Amon-Ra is the guy there, but the next best option is easily going to be Jameson Williams. And Jameson Williams coming out of Alabama last year was like, personally, one of my favorite receivers coming out of the draft, but we all knew that the injury was going to put a little bit of a lag on his career, so to speak. So I certainly hope he is a league winner going into next season. No doubt, my guy. Thomas says K9, baby. K9. That's your guy. That's your first rounder, right? Diop put up numbers really no matter where he is. 100%. 100%. I agree. Walito, lock it over Hollywood. I like either. I mean, obviously, Hollywood's going to be the number one option there. I really like Hollywood. I've really argued for Hollywood Brown, like, all offseason, essentially. And I argued for him a lot last season as well. But I'm just a little bit worried. You know, I think he's going to have a little bit of a lag to start the year because Kyler's going to be out for some time. That's what I'm worried about. I like him more as a wide receiver, too. And don't get me wrong, like Lockett is not a wide receiver 1 for the Hawks, right? He's obviously behind Metcalf, but I just worry, like I need someone who's going to bring consistency right away on this particular build where I'm just super heavy at running back for some reason with Joe Burrow sprinkled in there and 2 receivers, right? But Poly Chips, I'm liking Team 6 a lot. Team 7 is fun because we're going all in on your 2 wide receivers, that's J-Dubs for you, man. But yeah, chance with Harris, Sanders, and 3 veteran receivers and a lot of upside at J-Mo and Goddard. Just a great value at 7.6, man. Beautiful value there. So yeah, man. I mean, per usual, you guys are killing the draft. So Rich Eisen mentioned the Vikings in terms of D-Hop. Imagine him and JJ. Yeah, that would be a fun fit for sure. Absolutely. Paulie says Vikings need to spend that money on defense. Yeah, I mean, after last year, I think I might agree with that. I mean, gosh, that defense. It just got to the point, like, I mean, Steven, right, goes over our kickers on a weekly basis during the season. And he was just got to the point, like, whoever's playing the Vikings, pick up their kicker and start them. Because of the Vikings, to the kicker position alone, we're giving up double digits, like, every week in the latter part of the season. So, I 100% agree. Prey, what's up, man? What up? How we doing, my guy? Derrick Henry to the Dolphins. I mean, it'd be an interesting fit. I do feel like, come draft night, we're going to see some movement of a couple of players, or maybe leading like a couple days up to the draft, and potentially even right after the draft. So, but Henry still hasn't been moved. Mixon's still with the Bengals. Dalvin Cook still hasn't been moved. So, like at the running back position specifically, there's some big names, and like I won't be surprised if there's 1 or 2 players who no one's really thinking about who last minute are on the move. And it's a good draft class this year. At quarterback, running back, receiver, and tight end. So from a fantasy perspective, I definitely think could be a lot of surprises. All right, let me take a look here. I gotta go receiver. I got to go receiver like the rest of this draft, and it's gross. Gosh, I hurt. Yeah, it was not a smart move. I mean, am I in love with Kadarius Toney here? No. But he's on my team. I like Toney as like a wide receiver 5 in a build. And I think the Chiefs have a strong chance of loading up at the receiver position to finish out this offseason. All right, well, I guess I'll go Dotson. Give me some upside here. You got Bateman sitting there. It's kind of interesting. I knew Elijah Moore was going to go soon, too. Is it crazy that I like DPJ more than Elijah Moore? I don't think so. Zeke is still available, ladies and gentlemen. He's on the thumbnail for the night. Paulie, how can Zeke narrow down his options to a team that doesn't even want him? Yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking about that. I would assume that, his agent can present that information to whatever teams he wants to have that information, So he probably, what it sounds like is he's like, these are the 3 teams I want to play for, and he's just going to go test the market to those 3 teams and see what happens. But I do think the Eagles supposedly came out and said they don't have any interest in signing Ezekiel Elliott. But then he had like a couple Eagles players tweeting out like, come play for us, essentially, So, but, I do think if Zeke, let's say Zeke goes to the Eagles, right? At the end of the day, you probably have a pretty similar backfield to last season, except, Gainwell, I still think is the lead back. But you kind of see a similar split to what we saw between Miles Sanders and Gainwell last season. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It is interesting. I think you make a good point there. So we'll see what happens. Let's see here. Thomas, I'm eyeing y'all's draft while on break, kind of like the 1.8. So Chunk has got Fields and Manders, ETN, Pierce, Penny, a lot of good RB value. Diggs, London, JSN, Sutton, yeah. Taylor goes Gainwell there. Right after Chunk goes Penny. So we're starting to see that Gainwell ADP move up a little bit. And ultimately, his first draft, we've seen Penny and Gainwell go right next to each other. We've seen them go in the same round. The 9.8 and the 9.9 tonight. Taylor getting some nice running back value in later rounds here. Dobbins, Akers, Kamara, Gainwell, on top of having 4 stud receivers, at least 3 stud receivers, and I think Ayuk a really nice piece though, and having Patty Mahomes. That might be my favorite build so far. A lot of good value for sure. Polly, last year the Tyreek trade came out of nowhere, so who knows what could happen? Absolutely, man. And honestly, the A.J. Brown trade and the Hollywood Brown trade, both of those, like, draft night, weren't really expected, if I remember correctly. I guess, no, A.J. Brown, that's right. There's a lot of drama leading up to that. That's right. But the Hollywood Brown trade was definitely not expected. Catch, you take Lazard every draft. Why do you like him so much? Good question, man. So, Lazard was a player who I was really big on last year. Admittedly, not before the season, but as the season began, like, a player is really big on, like, while you could still get him off the waiver wire, really encouraging you guys to go out and get him. But, before Christian Watson came onto the scene, Lazard was extremely consistent. Obviously, he missed week 1, 9.3 points in week 2, but from weeks 3 through weeks 9, he gave you double digits every game. 11 or more points, 7.5 in week 10, 10 points, 4.4 in week 12, and then 11 points, stinker in week 15, and then double digits the rest of the year. So that's just 4 games, including week 2 at 9.3 games, where he gave you single digits. He missed 2 games. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be looking Lazard's way quite a bit. And before Watson came onto the scene, Lazard was a touchdown machine. He had 6 touchdowns on the season, and 4 of those came the first 6 weeks. 5 of them came in the first 9 weeks. So I just think that the chemistry is going to bleed right over. And I like Lazard for that reason. I think he's a good value where he's going right now. He's a player who I don't personally want to see his ADP move up, because I do like him quite a bit. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm going to go DPJ here. And I feel like I need to go receiver at this next pick. But I might not. I just can't draft another running back. I mean, McCaffrey, Hall, Pollard, and Swifty. I do feel like, don't get me wrong, like, you need a stud receiver. Like, this team's going to struggle. Mooney's a good pick there. But, where do I want to go here? But there's definitely some flexibility at the position throughout the season, right? I'm going to take a tight end off the board because I need some consistency on this team. Give me Freiermuth. And I'm literally going to draft 4 receivers to finish out this squad. And I think eventually someone will work. At least I'd have good running backs. Zay Jones, a great pick there. I thought he might fall out, but I like that pick a lot. Let's see here. Thomas says, I like Lazard myself. Like the A-Rod Lazard stack in Dynasty. How do you feel on Burks? Burks I'm pretty torn on. Or, what was I just trying to say? Torn on. Excuse me. I'm pretty back and forth on him. I do think that in the past couple of years, we've seen sophomore receivers have really good sophomore years, So the thing that worries me about Burks is not his skill set. Don't get me wrong. He does have some trouble staying healthy, right? But it's not his skill set, right? It's not Treylon Burks really at all. It's the Tennessee Titans. I don't know who's going to be throwing the football. I don't know what Ryan Tannehill is going to look like next year. I don't think Malik Willis is ready to be a starting quarterback. I don't know. I worry about that offense, especially if Henry's gone. Actually, that would probably help Treylon Burks theoretically. I don't really want anything to do with that offense unless it's Chicken Conquo at the end of my draft or Derrick Henry if he stays there at the right value. So I'm pretty torn. I know some of you guys like him. Don't get me wrong. He went at the 9.5 tonight. I think that's a good value. I think I personally like Dotson a little bit more. Looking at sophomore receivers in that tier. I'm just not there. And like I said, it's not anything to do with Treylon Burks. That offense just does not attract me from a fantasy perspective at all. All right, let's see. DPJ was solid last year. I don't understand why he was on our waivers for so long. um, you guys could go back and watch the waiver wire videos from last year, like every week. Like it seemed like every single week. Tony, guys, pick up DPJ, please. Please do it. It happened in a lot of leagues. Thomas, I like Burks. He seems explosive. 100%. 100%. Like I said, nothing to do with Burks. That offense is what scares me. Box was good, John. Notifications have been acting up, so I missed the last 2 streams. I'll get in on the next one. No worries, bro. Appreciate you hanging out tonight, man. Appreciate you swinging by. We'll love to get you in one of the drafts soon, my dude. Cats, that was because he was a wide receiver on the team. No Watson, no other good wide receiver. I feel like he will be the 3rd option on the Jets. I mean, it could happen, but I think what's important, right, is chemistry between quarterback and receiver is huge. Don't get me wrong, Garrett Wilson is going to be the guy, 100%. But like where Lazard is going between the 7th and 9th round, depending on how many rounds you have, depending on who you're drafting with, what style, I like him at that value because I do think the chemistry with Rodgers is going to bleed immediately over. So is he going to have necessarily that same ceiling on a consistent basis, which wasn't even that high of a ceiling? Probably not, but I do think that the consistency will be there. So just looking at that tier, I do think he's in a good spot. And I do think that a lot of that will bleed over coming into the next season. But I get what you're saying, too. I definitely do. Let me make this pick. I mean, where do I want to go? I'll go Randall Robinson. There's actually quite a few receivers that I like sitting here available. You know, not like crazy, but by the way, guys, no kicker, no defense tonight. We're just taking extra skill position players, so those 2 extra rounds are replaced with 2 extra bench spots. I'll go Rondell Moore. I'm very torn on the Giants receivers. Like, I think there's value between Robinson, Slayton, and Hodgins. And even Shepard. I'm just torn on who I want to draft. Like, I have so many receivers. Lockett, Lazard, Tony, Dotson, DPJ, Robinson, Moore. I mean, like, I need receivers on this team. I feel like we're good everywhere else. Excuse me. Jeez, what was that? Thomas, he's A-Rod's favorite target. Yeah, I hope so. Like I said, right, it's all about that chemistry. I think that's a huge part of connections, quarterback receiver, right? That's another reason, like when I'm looking at the Brown situation, adding Elijah Moore, I think at the moment, at least to start this season, DPJ is going to hold more value. He's already played in that offense. He's had more time with Deshaun Watson. He's had just more time with the team as a whole. So, like, don't get me wrong, guys can step in and build chemistry very quickly, learn the playbook very quickly, but I like DPJ a tad bit more than Elijah Moore at the moment. No pun intended, but you never know, right? Elijah Moore could be the dude there, behind Cooper, obviously, and yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. So, but I think that's a huge part of it for sure, you know. Thomas, I joined your Discord towards the end of the season. I think I recall asking you sit-start questions about DPJ. Wouldn't surprise me, man. Wouldn't surprise me. I miss the fantasy season. I miss the start-sit questions. How many days do we have? It's only March. March has gone by pretty quick. I do feel like this offseason's going by pretty quickly. Abuelito, it's a new guy every year with the Giants. OBJ, Shepard, Slayton, Hodgins, Tony, 100%. Just get Waller. Yeah, I don't trust Waller. I don't. If I draft Waller, which I think is okay, I want a second tight end. Even if it's on Conquo, someone at the end of the draft. I mean, like Waller and Kmet would be really nice. Waller and Freiermuth would be really nice. Waller and Ingram. So Schultz goes at the 8.2 tonight. How do we feel about Schultz? I feel like we've already talked about this, but I feel like we should keep talking about it because maybe that's the positive for redraft formats is after the NFL draft, we'll at least know who's going to be throwing Schultz the football. I think it's going to be Young, personally. So another day has passed, right? Bryce Young threw some footballs today. Who do you guys think is going at number 1? Stroud, Young, or Richardson? Let me know. I don't trust his health, but when he's on the field, he's a baller. 100%. 100%. But I do try to personally avoid, if I don't trust a player's health, and, they're at too high of a value. Like, Waller as a tight end 2 is one thing. Waller's a tight end 1 spooks me a teensy bit. Especially the tight end position last year was a wasteland. And he had Travis Kelce, then he had everyone else. Andrews had moments. Hawkinson played really well last year. Kittle had moments, and great moments, don't get me wrong. Ingram, Goddard, Goddard was hurt at times. Freiermuth had another good year. Komet had kind of that mid-season run. Schultz had a decent year as well. But outside of that, oh my gosh, tight end was a mess last year. It got to the point where I didn't even want to talk about tight ends on the channel. I told you guys that so many times towards the end of the year. I was like, I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. It just is awful this year. It got really bad. Luckily we had Nkonkwo towards the end of the year for a little bit. That wasn't even that long. So you had a couple guys come on, Njoku, but I don't know, man. Tight end last year was just gross. Meal says Young going at the 1.1. Thomas says hit that like button. Guys, smash the like for me. Oh, where do I want to... I feel like I just need to keep drafting receivers. Give me a rookie. Give me Hyatt. Give me some upside. I feel like at this point maybe I could take a running back to end the draft. I mean, Lockett and Lazard, I don't think any of you guys would be super ultra confident in that combo. Right? Give me Shaheed. Love that pick in the 15th round. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 receivers. I mean, obviously this roster build is not what people are going to go into the season with. But I'm sorry, guys. I feel like this was a really bad draft by me. I feel like it's probably my worst draft on a stream in a really long time. I just wanted to see what would happen if I went triple running back. And then at the 4.11, I just felt like Burrow was the best player on the board. And then we got into the 6th round, you had Swift, Algier, Brian Robinson, Charbonnet, Rashad White, Cam Akers, Pacheco, Javonte, A.J. Dillon. You just had so much running back depth left. I was like, I'm going to take another one. But even there, I could have gotten Lazard and Deontay Johnson, or Lazard and Michael Thomas. You look between my pick of Lazard and me going Tony at 8.11, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 receivers gone, and that's it. I actually like Jordan Addison sprinkled in there, probably the best. But I don't know. Rate my team, guys. 1 to 10. How awful would you feel about this team going into next year? I mean, don't get me wrong. If the receivers step up and the running backs stay healthy, this team could be really good. But I wouldn't be comfortable with this team. So, let's see here. Prey says W draft. W Prey. Rashid Shaheed, who dat? I think Shaheed is going to be a large sleeper going into next year. John, what for bench tomorrow? Been chugging water. Need lessons from me. Eat a PB&J before you go to bed and make sure you get some rest, man. Rest is going to be super important going into that, bro. Giants also signed Paris Campbell. Yeah, 100%. I forgot to even mention it. It's a crowded receiver room, especially with Waller there and Barkley out of the backfield, right? All right, let's take a look at some teams tonight. Let me get a sip of water and let's do it, guys. Thank you guys so much for drafting with me, hanging out tonight, man, talking fantasy. All right, Emil's up first. Herbie fully loaded in Rodgers redraft format. You're perfectly fine there. Good quarterback room. I love Evan Ingram, man. I will say, I don't know why. I love Evan Ingram for sure. The part's not questionable. But for some reason, I do want a second tight end when I draft Ingram right now. Cole Kmet, Dulcich, and Conquo, Dawson Knox, somebody else. I don't know why. A little bit of injury history there. Maybe that's why. Eckler, Jacobs, Chubster, Fournette. I'm okay with that in a redraft format. I'm okay with 4 running backs, and you got 3 guys who are going to be studs. Play the waiver wire the rest of the year. It'll be good, man. Kirk, Mike Evans at 5.3 I think is okay. Davis, Moore, Shep, Collins, Patty, Dortch. I mean, good receiver value throughout the draft, man. I don't know if I would be 1,000% confident in this wide receiver room, but you get by, hopefully. Right? How do you feel about the team, Emil? You're starting Herbie, starting Ingram, Eckler, and Jacobs. Probably Kirk and Evans, flexing Chubster. Core roster is pretty good. Then you just got to figure out that second flex, Gabe Davis or Elijah Moore. Probably who you'd be playing right away. So, pretty good squad. How do you feel about it, Bursky? All right, Jade Doves. What's up, my dude? How we doing, my guy? All right, we got Lawrence and Pickett. You know I like that already. We got 2 guys with nice flow. That's all that matters. Kelsey. Say no more. Wilson, Olave, Watson, Judy. Whew. Hodges and Osborne. Great receiver room. Very, very good receiver room. Late round running back tonight. No RBs till the 7th round. We got White, Herbie, Madison, Mostart, Acne, and Wilson. Yeah. For late round value, going to play the waivers. Might trade a little. You're good here, right? Starting T-Law and Kelsey, Wilson and Olave. Let's say White and Herbert. And you're flexing Watson and Judy. And you have a lot of depth on the bench. Great team tonight, man. How do you feel about it? Chase says, that's why we practice. Yeah, I know, right? Most nights I feel great after the draft. Tonight, I'm like, what did I do? Tom is not confident in Lockett. Makes me sad. I like Lockett, but I don't like him as a wide receiver 1. I mean, I don't know what I did tonight. Cats, what we do, my dude. Watson, Goff, good there. Good late round value at the position. And Njoku, I'm fine with. There are a lot of tight ends that I kind of want a second tight end with. I'll probably put Njoku up as one of them. I would honestly say if you're not drafting Kelsey, Andrews, Hawkinson, or Goddard, I probably want to take a flyer on a late round guy. Or I want to pair Kmet with Freiermuth. I want to pair Waller with Kmet. I want to pair Dulcich with even a guy like Kittle. I consider Kittle someone you should draft a second tight end behind because of his injury history. So, I don't know, man. I just don't want to see teams end up with such a disappoint like last year, right? Just so disappointing at the position if you did not have one of the guys. And throughout the season, there's probably only going to be 3 or 4 guys that show up at the position. It's a tough position, man. It really is. But for tonight's purposes, Njoku's good in the 11th round. Barkley, Stevenson, Monty, Tucker, Johnson, and Johnson. So yeah, interesting pick there in the final round there, and Dearness, but I kind of like it. You know, I mean, you still got Hasty there, who played well last year, but kind of like it. Interesting. Adams, Mike Williams, Godwin, Deontay, Quentin Johnston, Beckham, good receiver room, good value at the position throughout this draft for you, man. So, starting Watson, or I'd probably start Goff and Njoku, but you do have a stack with Watson and Njoku. So, let's say Goff and Njoku, Adams and Mike Williams, Barkley and Stevenson, flexing Godwin and Monty. That gives you Deontay Johnson, Quentin Johnston, Beckham, Tucker Johnson, and Dearness Johnson on the bench. You got some rookie running backs in there. And I think Deontay, Quentin, and Beckham on the bench is nice too. So yeah, I feel okay about this team. How do you feel about it, man? All right. Astra, I liked your draft tonight, my dude. Let's see how it wrapped up. I was really liking your team towards the beginning. But Lamar and Russ, I mean, yeah, right now, if I'm drafting Lamar, I'm drafting a second quarterback. Situation is getting very, very strange out there. But Waller and Dulcich, I'm good with. I do like that combination. I'm glad you grabbed Dulcich at the end of your draft. JJ, Devonta, Cooper, Ridley, Mooney, Boyd, great receiver room, man. Lots of good value throughout this draft for you, my dude. Walker, Algier, Brian Robinson, Mitchell Hunt, and I mean, good running back room. Yeah, very well balanced team. Lamar scares me right now, but like once the situation clears up, we're still drafting Lamar Jackson, right? And I think Russ in the 15th was a smart move. But let's say Lamar's playing. I don't know who he's playing for, whatever. But Lamar's out there this year. You're starting him, obviously, right? Starting Waller, JJ and Devonta Smith, Walker and Algier, Cooper and Ridley. But that still leaves you with Robinson, Mitchell, Mooney, Hunt, Boyd, Dolchich, Wilson. Well-balanced team, good value throughout this draft. Just a solid build overall, man. How do you feel about it? All right, Taylor Gang. Oh, I think I like this team too. Let's see how it wrapped up, though. Patty Mahomes and Conquo and Higbee. So not a lot of upside at tight end, but I think you get by with those guys, right? And I like that you got 2 of them, right? Tyreek, Amon-Ra, Hopkins, Ayuk is just ridiculous. Myers, a good player to sprinkle in there, but you had to kind of load up at running back because you didn't go RB till the 6th, which is okay. Dobbins, Akers, Kamara, Gainwell was a really nice run, and then even Gibson and Pirine and then Miller at the end of your draft was a nice pick too. So I'd be okay with this team. Yeah, I like this squad a lot. I just think your first 9 rounds were really good. When you picked Myers, who I think is fine, I mean, you had Hodgins, DPJ, Mooney, Jones. Like, there's some other options there, but I think Myers is fine. Gibson and Pirine were good picks for you for sure. Yeah, not a ton of upside at tight end, but ultimately I do like this team. You're starting Mahomes and then Conquo. Let's hope Conquo continues to, take steps forward, right? I just worry about that offense a little bit. Tyreek Hill, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, flexing Hopkins and Ayuk, right? Then you're starting Dobbins and Akers, and you might even start Gainwell, and you might be able to start Kamara for half the year, or you might not. We'll see what happens. But then you have some bench depth. So I like this team. Yeah, I think your team and Astros are my favorite so far, but everyone drafted well tonight for sure, man. Derek, glad you drafted with us tonight, my dude. All right, we got Hurts. I know you got a couple auto picks at the end, but Hurts, Prescott, Stroud, and Bryce Young. So you might be trading some quarterbacks. Might help you out, right? Schultz is fine, I guess. I just don't know. I feel like I like Komet, Freiermuth, Ingram more than Schultz right now. But we'll see. Could be a great security blanket for a rookie quarterback, of course, right? We got Bijan, Gibbs, Pacheco, James Robinson. Interesting running back room. Lots of youth there. CeeDee Lamb, Debo, Pickens, Thielen, Flowers, and Dobbs. Derek, I hope you didn't think this was a dynasty draft. Now that I'm looking at your build, but I don't think you did. But this would be a decent dynasties build, especially for like a, well, no, even for a super flex, but like a non-tight end premium league. Or like a league that you don't play 3 receivers or something. But ultimately, I still think it's a pretty good squad, right? You can draft young players and redraft too. So starting Hurts and Schultz, Bijan, and let's say Pacheco. But you might end up throwing Gibbs in there at some point. Maybe even in your second flex. That would leave you with CeeDee Lamb, Debo, Pickens, and then Gibbs in the flex. And then you'd have Thielen, Flowers, and Dobbs, and Robinson on the bench. So yeah, core roster looks good to me, man. How do you feel about it? All right, well, Lido, what we do, man? Captain, you like that? Kirk Cousins at quarterback. I mean, hey, you know what you're going to get. Ceiling's not going to be super high. You're going to have some really disappointing games, but overall throughout the year, you're going to get some consistency, right? T-Hawk, you got the stack. There you go. And I love T-Hawk. At 6.8 is a great value, man. JT, Javonte, AJ, Zeke, Devin Singletary, Zach Evans. Considering you only picked 1 running back in the first 6 rounds, I think you end up with a pretty good running back room. As long as they stay healthy, right? Waddle, Metcalf, Scary Terry, Hollywood was good value right there for sure. Burks is a nice piece to that wide receiver room. Palmer, great pick. Chark is fine in the 15th round. So, yeah, pretty well balanced team here. Starting Cousins and Hawk, JT, and let's say AJ Dillon. Could be Javonte, but let's say AJ Dillon. Waddle, Metcalf, you're flexing McLaurin and Brown. I mean, that leaves you with one of those 2 running backs, Javonte or AJ, Burks, Zeke, Singletary, Palmer, Zach Evans, Chark on the bench. I like this team a lot, man. Yeah, that team's up there for the night as well. It's a good build for sure. Brian, I like the Giants receivers. I do too. I just don't know which one's going to see the most volume. Pray, you don't have a team tonight. Thomas says, besides Injury possibilities at running back. I think your squad is decent. Thanks, bro. I appreciate the feedback. I need someone to give me feedback. Plus Burrow and Freiermuth, not bad. That's true. Yeah, that's a ridiculous amount of receivers to draft, right? Shane, what's up, my dude? Great to see you. Appreciate you stopping by. What up, what up, what up? Asher, feeling good with this draft and forget about Ridley, Bird, and ADP. There you go, man. Yeah, you got to add him to your queue early. Are you Ridley fans? Make sure he doesn't fall away from you. But good. Yeah, I thought you had a great build tonight, my dude. Taylor, I don't think I'd change with Taylor Gang's team is taking a tight end over Myers. That could have been a move, too. I mean, Freiermuth and Komet were there. I think that would have made a huge difference. Gibson and Pirine were still really nice picks. But then, like, instead of going in Conquo, I don't know, you could have taken Hyatt, or if there's another rookie hanging around, Palmer. No, I'm sorry, Palmer wasn't available. You may have had to take one over Pirine, so I don't know how you feel about that. But, yeah, still a good team. But yeah, I actually kind of agree. Like, if you had gone with Komet or Freiermuth there, and maybe skip Gibson and you go like KJ Osborne, and then you still hit on Pirine, you know, like, I think that would have been huge for your team. But overall, still a good squad. Let's 4 QBs for trade bait. Derek says be doing a lot of trades. Yeah, man. Hey, I mean, you got both those rookies, right? So I do think that Hurts and Prescott is a nice little combination going into this coming season. So we'll see, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there's another mock draft in the books. Thank you guys so much for coming out tonight, man. Thank you guys for hanging out, talking some fantasy, going over the news of the day, which is really just Zeke and Lamar Jackson doing Lamar Jackson things and some D-Hop rumors. But thank you guys to those of you who drafted with me tonight. Tomorrow night, it's Friday night, so we're hopping into an Underdog Best Ball draft. If you guys are new to Underdog, of course, you can double your first deposit up to $100 with promo code TheCatch. Promo link is in the description down below. But we're going to hop into a big board tomorrow, and I'm super excited for that. So even if you guys don't want to play Underdog, whatever, come out, hang out, see how the draft process works, talk some fantasy, a little bit of a different draft strategy in Best Ball. So always fun, man, and we'll hang out tomorrow night for sure. Draft of the night, like I said, it was close. I liked Walito's team. I like Astra's team. I like Taylor Gang's team. And I thought most of the teams we went over were pretty solid. And I like your team as well, J-Dubs. Continuing to go with that late round. Actually, J-Dubs, I mean, gosh. Tila and Kelsey with Wilson, Olave, Watson, Judy. 2 of your running backs hit. I don't know, man. That team's pretty up there. I'm a little worried about Judy right now, to be honest. It's close. I'm going to take Astra out of the running just because of the Lamar situation. Then I'm going to take Walito out just because of the Cousins. Not a lot of upside there, but gosh, that's close. I think I might go with you, J-Dubs. I didn't think that was going to be my answer at all. But the more I think about T-Law taking a step forward next year with Kelsey on your squad, Wilson, Olave, and Watson, just so much upside. And if Judy, whether he gets, just got to go to the right team. I mean, Judy gets traded to the Patriots. Like, for me, he tanks in value. But if he stays with the Broncos or goes to the right team, I mean, there's obviously some upside there too. But you'd have to get White and Herbert to hit, for example, right? But I don't know, man. We went over a lot of good teams. Looking at Astra's team, though, like, Lamar does Lamar things. Waller stays healthy, and he still has Dolchich. Walker and Algier I love, especially with Robinson, Mitchell, and Hunt there. And then JJ, Devonta, Cooper, and Ridley lined up with Mooney and Boyd as bench. Like, that's just a great team. And, like, I mean, I'm being hard on Cousins, but JT stays healthy. Javonte comes full steam. A.J. Dillon fills in for the meantime. Cousins gives you 16-ish points a game with T-Hawk. Waddle, Metcalf, McLaurin, Hollywood's just scary. Some good depth on the bench. Three really good teams. And then I really like Taylor Gang's team, too. But the tight end position kind of maybe takes them down a notch. It's really close. Really, really close. A lot of good teams tonight, though, man. Well, we should get a Dynasty mock going soon. Yeah, we'll probably run one Saturday and Sunday night. So just be on the lookout for Discord. But we do need to get a couple. I mean, we've done, 2 or 3 this past week? We've done at least 2. So we'll get them going. Don't worry, man. I'm definitely eager to hop into another one. I streamed a little bit later than I wanted to tonight. But it is what it is. All good. So Redraft is a little bit quicker of a stream for me, and so yeah. But we'll get one going, I promise. And maybe tomorrow night we can run an off-air one as well. So we'll see. Yeah, there's one spot left in the second Dynasty League. Taylor is correct. Join as a YouTube member, and then hit me up on Discord, and we'll get you added to the league. So one spot left. We'd love to have any of you guys. So, all right, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button on the way out. If you guys tuned in, you guys are new to the channel, it really mean a lot to me if you hit that subscribe button. Nonetheless, thank you guys for checking out the stream tonight, for spending part of your night here on the channel, talking some fantasy football, having some fun. Appreciate you guys so much, man. Hit me up on Discord if you need anything. Hit me up on Instagram if you guys need anything. Check out the links down below. You guys know what to do, man. So, had a blast with you guys tonight. Thomas, Taylor, Walito, Astra, J-Dubs, Brian, Derek, Shane, Prey, Cats, Chase, Emil, Thomas. Started to call you out. I'm bad at this. Paulie Chips, Boxing the Jack. And everyone else who stopped by, everyone else who hung out tonight, thank you guys so much for being here. Spending part of your night at the channel, talking fantasy. You know what it is. All right, time for me to go to bed, man. Love you guys, man. Love this community. Love the Catch fam. Talk to you guys soon. With that, I will say thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And remember, you saw it here on the Catch. And peace.